Hi there, I'm Darren McDermott and you're watching Dukascopy TV. Now, there are 300 million Chinese Buddhists across the globe. Today we will try to understand how China is using the Buddhist force within their soft power to tackle its issues with India and Tibet. I'm joined today by Arno Dotes-Ak, Director of Market Magazine. Welcome today.
Hello, how are you?
So, Arno, can you just remind us, first of all, what is soft power?
Soft power is a term used, opposite to hard power. Hard power is the power to be feared, with military power mainly, which is huge power now in China. But in parallel, China is developing soft power, the power to be liked, even to be loved.
China is a communist party, so it is quite surprising that they are using Buddhism. So why is this?
Well, China is governed, yes, by a communist party, but Buddhism is part of the culture of China since the 1st century at least. And so it is really, let's say, in the blood, of the Chinese culture. And Buddhism has a wonderful image across the world. And as you mentioned in your introduction, almost 300 million Chinese over the world are following Buddhism. So it's a huge, of course, leverage of influence to be liked through it.
So how exactly do they use it?
So how do they use Buddhism now as part of the soft power? Is quite interesting. They invested a lot in presenting China as the protector, the benefactor of Buddhism worldwide. They have created a huge World Buddhist Forum, and they have created a sort of Vatican of Buddhism near Shanghai, 1 hour by train from Shanghai. And every 3 years they organize a huge World Buddhist Forum with thousands of people coming from almost 50 countries over the world. So they are really presenting themselves as the one who are connected and defending Buddhism. And of course, there are many schools of Buddhism. In China, there are what is called the Han Buddhism, and you have also the Tibetan Buddhism, which is very well known over the world since Dalai Lama escaped in India. And so they tried, through this investment in Buddhism, to create a friendship between the Chinese Buddhists and the Tibetan Buddhists. The Chinese Buddhist monks, the Chinese Buddhist clerks, if you want, are under their control, because you cannot be a clerk if you are not under the control. It's very well designed, it's very soft, but also very strong at the same time. And slowly, with the help of money, with the help of investment in new temples and so on, they slowly started to convince the Tibetan monks, the Tibetan clerks, that finally it's not so bad to be friends with the Han Chinese Buddhist colleagues. And through this, they enter a huge tool of influence within the Tibetan community.
So it's clear then they can be friends, the Chinese monks and of course the Tibetan monks. But the question is, how is China using this for their own benefits and causes?
So this is very subtle, as always. Chinese mind is very subtle, very intelligent, and it's always very interesting to analyze. They have a conflict with India, for instance, at the northern border. And this is the place where, on the Indian side, all the Tibetan refugees are settled. And they understood that in Tibetan Buddhism, the devotion to the guru, the devotion to the clerk, is a main part, of this religion, of this part of the Buddhist religion. And they understood that if they can influence the top to love the Chinese monks, they will convey all the devotees to the same goal. So then can use their soft power at this very border, which, I remind the people, is still a military conflict place, which has not been yet settled since 1962. So this is one aspect. Behind this is also money, huge money. There are some people who are raising funds for Tibetan cause, a lot. Some people who are raising funds apparently for Tibetan cause, but a huge part of this money goes, we don't know where exactly. But if you see the links between those very people and China, you understand through which channel it can go. So, for instance, we have a very interesting story with this very gentleman on the left, who is received in London a few years ago by the previous number 4 of the regime, which means a lot in terms of influence. His name is Akong Tulku, and he has a huge charity organization based in Zurich. And he raised a lot of money. And where do we see him apart from the friendship of this? He appointed this young boy a long time ago, who then, you see the same person in a big Chinese Communist Party convention, and then you see this young Tibetan boy who is now in India making friends with the Chinese monk. So you see at work, first raising funds, second creating links, and third to have the result of creating friendship with Chinese monk. This very Chinese monk in yellow is accredited by the Communist Party in continental China, although he's from Taiwan. So you see at work this work of influence. If these Tibetan monks like this pro-Chinese monk, then everybody will follow.
So what sort of reaction are we seeing then from the Indian military power?
They are quite nervous. First, this monk, who is called Urgyen Trinley with the title of Karmapa, is under almost house arrest since he arrived in India. Here you see a picture of him praised under the Chinese robes within China. Then they are very nervous because there are big projects in Nepal, exactly at the few kilometers from the border of India, between Nepal and India. What is there? There is the birthplace of Buddha, the historical Buddha. And it is called Lumbini. And who is investing there to make it the world Mecca for all the Buddhists of the world? China. And who is the representative of this project? This gentleman by the name of Mr. Xiao Wunan. And who is he visiting to put together the plan? This very monk. So we see that, it is behind the scenes. Very few people talk about it, but it seems to be very successful.
Arno, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And thank you for watching Dukascopy TV. I hope you enjoyed this interview, and do click back to the website for more like it. Goodbye for now.